Diesel for We the People News. I'm just kind of bringing up just to rehash my last video about territory. Okay, we're going to show this video to kind of give an idea what they are doing was unconstitutional, and if it's unconstitutional, means territory. Okay, so I'm not an attorney, don't care to be an attorney. I don't want to dumb myself down. I'm dumb enough already. Never just look straight forward. Always look around you, for the outside forces may want to commit harm upon you. Now, whether you believe in border lines or not, it's not the issue of hand today. Okay? This is just what I talked about previous. The only way they can do certain things is if it's territory. If you have no constitutional rights, it's territory. Alright.
If I drive across a U.S. border, I know I have to stop at a Border Patrol checkpoint. But imagine driving to the grocery store, well, inside America, and being stopped by the Border Patrol.
And what crime am I being charged with?
Pastor Steven Anderson was just stopped at a Border Patrol checkpoint, 60 miles from the Mexican border.
What are you placing me under arrest for?
The officers say their police dog alerted them to something in his car. But Anderson says the dog never alerted to anything. He wouldn't let them search his car, so officers break both windows and then tase him from two directions. Here's what he looked like later. On YouTube, you can see lots of confrontations like that because lots of Americans are upset about being stopped not on the border, but miles away from the border. Our government did rule that Border Patrol may set up checkpoints within a reasonable distance of the border. What's reasonable?
They said that
They didn't rule, it's opinion. We need to get this rule thing out of everybody's mindset. It's opinion.
distance is 100 air miles from any external boundary of the United States.
100 miles. That's where most Americans live. 2/3 of the people.
So look at all that, y'all. All that you see is territories. They are not part of the United States, or what y'all call the United States, right? Or U.S. or U.S. citizens and all that kind of stuff. It's territories. And they can do these things because it's territories.
Live in these spots. It's entire states, all of Florida, more than half of California, all of Maine, all of New Hampshire.
Agents tell people that all residents are suspect simply by virtue of living in southern Arizona.
Well, America does need to police our border. Rick Rainierson understands that. He's an Air Force pilot who served in Iraq and Afghanistan. Now he's based in Texas, where he found he had to pass through checkpoints all the time.
There's no way to leave the border town without going through a checkpoint.
The checkpoint he had to pass through most often is 67 miles from the border.
I started to feel like I was asking permission to leave that town. I'm just traveling in the United States. I haven't crossed any borders, and I didn't really like that feeling.
So he installed cameras in his car.
Because I wanted to be able to prove the truth of events.
I've asked them if I'm free to go. I've asked them if they're detaining me. They won't answer any questions.
Here he's on the phone with a lawyer.
They're now standing around without telling me anything.
The Supreme Court said that Border Patrol agents at immigration checkpoints can conduct brief stops for the limited purpose of verifying resident status. They could not involve the searches of individuals or the interior of their vehicles.
Both your citizens? Yes. Thank you.
The person says, yes, I am, and they should be let go.
According to the Supreme Court, yes.
But that's silly. I mean, the guy would just lie.
It may be silly, but you can't just set up a checkpoint to go on a fishing expedition for all manner of criminal wrongdoing.
But that's exactly what many border agents do.
What's the reason to want to check my trunk?
Just, your car is dirty?
Yes.
No, back window, please, so I can see.
Here, a Border Patrol agent inspects one of our cars.
It was a peaceful little town. It was calming. There wasn't no problems.
Big government creates problems. As the number of interior checkpoints has grown, more Americans Americans say, this is destroying our town.
There's less and less tourists
That little town is a territory now.
coming here.
This woman had to close her business.
It's sad. Economically, this town depends on tourists. And we're not on the border. We're in America.
People in Aravaca say it's like living in occupied territory. Apache helicopters overhead, surveillance towers, dozens of Border Patrol trucks cruise their streets.
It's a one-block town, and the border's not even close to here.
Imagine living in a small town where, in order to go to work or take your kids to school, every day you had to answer to an armed federal agent at a checkpoint.
I don't need reasonable suspicion. That's the law, sir. No, it's not.
They might want to ask you about your medical history, where you're coming from.
Is that a duplex or something?
On other days, they might decide that they want to search your car.
You can't hardly get out on the road now if somebody doesn't stop you. It's like they think everybody out here is like criminal.
These are the kinds of experiences that real people are having on a daily basis at these checkpoints. And they really fundamentally fly in the face of what it means to live in a free society where you don't have to answer to federal agents when you're going about your daily business.
Leave us alone. Just big brother looking at us, you know.
Am I being detained?
And so more Americans are pushing back.
Why am I being detained, Agent Gilmore?
Arizona photographer James Foray refused to answer extra questions.
Where you coming from? Why? Why don't you pull up right over there?
Why?
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 Because I'm sending you over there.
Answer my question. Do you have a gun in the vehicle?
They asked him a
Just
series
said, I don't have a weapon.
They asked him a series of invasive, intrusive questions that were none of their business and they did not have authority to ask him. He asserted his rights.
Which led to this.
Open this door, get him out of the vehicle now.
Why are you twisting my arm?
Because you're not listening to what I'm asking.
I am.
Put it in the door. Not to reach for anything. Jesus, mother. Handcuff him.
He was pulled out of his car at gunpoint, detained in handcuffs for almost an hour while agents tore apart his car.
They found no contraband.
What question did I not answer?
Rick Rainerson says it's wrong that he's asked, where are you going? In his own country. I bet the Border Patrol agents would say, come on, Rick, this is hardly a threat to your liberty. Just tell us where you're going.
I answered 17 questions. I produced a military ID, a driver's license, and 2 passports.
So if it was your job to be a border guard and somebody wouldn't answer questions, wouldn't you want to detain them?
Well, you might want to, but unless you have reasonable suspicion for a crime,
I'm suspicious because he won't answer questions.
lack of cooperation cannot be used as a basis for reasonable suspicion. This is a person who's having to stop in the middle of a road, who's done nothing wrong, and finds himself surrounded by armed government agents with dogs.
The Border Patrol would not respond to our questions about this. So Congressman Peter King defended the agency. I think of Border Patrol as Border Patrol. These are inland.
If there's reasonable cause to do it, you can do it. I mean, we do have, remember, when people come into this country illegally, they don't stay on the border. They keep going.
If people aren't immediately compliant, they'll break a window. People have been tased.
I am not aware of any significant abuses at all on the Homeland Security Committee. If anything, the complaints we get is there's not enough strict enforcement.
Isn't there something un-American about 100 miles from the border, American citizens having to prove we're Americans just to drive to work or the grocery store?
We live in a very upsetting world. You always have to balance the equities.
Americans have the right to be
You had to balance. No, 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 no.
free in their own country, to drive within their own country. Real freedom lies in the thin space that separates an American citizen from an armed member of their government.
There we go, y'all. Territory. What more do I have to say? Diesel for We the People News. Bye, y'all.